Big Sills! I believe this is the final show of the year. We're going to be off the next couple days. So we're going to kind of try to pile everything in as we get ready for this weekend's game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals. And again, I think it could be a pretty interesting ball game, but we just wanted you guys to know that this is probably going to be, again, our final show of the year. So we're really looking forward to it, and we look forward to having you on here with us here today. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting NFL weekend, to say the least. I really do. I think it's going to be an interesting weekend. I think we're going to find out a lot about a couple teams, especially the Dolphins and Cowboys. I do. There's still a chance, a pretty good chance, the Eagles get the number 1 overall seed. 49ers most likely will land there. There's a chance even that the Lions could come away with the number 1 overall seed. Absolutely. So it's going to be an interesting script that's being written these final 2 games for the NFL. I do want to say something. I was listening to Jason Kelsey today, and I was listening to him on WIP. He does, I think, a weekly hit for them. And I started coming away thinking about the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles as we're 2 games out. And I heard him say something that made me realize that the Eagles don't believe in what they're even doing. It's coming from their own mouths. I heard Nick Sirianni and Jalen. I've heard Devontae Smith. I've heard every player. How about this? I'm going to take my opinion away, and then you tell me if you think they believe. I heard Jason Kelsey say, we just have to clean up the mistakes. We have to play better. We have to be better. Does that sound like a guy who knows what the identity of his team is? Well, here, I'm paraphrasing Devontae. Yeah, we're just not, it's good to win, but we're just not clicking. Or hearing BG making too many mistakes. Penalties and turnovers. Sirianni said the same thing. This is coming from the mouths of the players and coaches. This is not coming from me. You're actually hearing the players not believe in what they're doing. That's not confidence. Okay? I mean, the players are saying it. I listened to that entire Jason Kelsey interview, and not at 1 second did I come away thinking that they were going to turn this thing around this year to where they were going to make a strong play in the playoffs. I haven't heard one coach, one player, anybody talk with any kind of ray of hope. They don't believe it. And if the players and coaches don't believe it, why should you? Wishful thinking? You know, the only people that are talking with positive vibes are the fans and some media people. I'm not even giving an opinion right now. I'm stating facts here. I have not heard in the last month one Eagle player or coach say one positive thing. And I was, like I said, it dawned on me. The players are trying to tell us they don't believe in this team this year. It's not that they don't believe in one another. There's just something about the team this year that the players are not buying in like they did a year ago. Even John McMullen today asked that question if the players were having fun. Nobody has fun. And then you listen to the player's response when asked the question in a scrum, and you don't come away thinking, God, these guys really love going to work. Okay? Get this. Gary goes, the best 11-4 flawed team in NFL history. You know what's crazy, Gary? That's how the players look at it. It's not me. Okay? It's not me. These are those, they're saying this. They're the ones saying it. I came away, and again, by the way, because this is the last show of the year and we're not going to give you our Football Friday, we're going to do that today. We're going to talk about Cards and Eagles here in a second. We're going to go into that and how I see this thing play out. You know, I look at this and I go, okay, man, just listening to people talk this week and really last week and then the week previous. And Nick talking about all the flaws that they have. They never found their identity this year. They never did. They never found a rhythm at any time. They're not going to. By the way, stop with that. Maybe this team could play better. Of course it's going to play better. But you couldn't even put rhythm together against the Giants. You're not going to put rhythm together in the last 8 quarters of the year. Like I told you before, that runway's over. You don't have any more runway. It's over with. You think you have this running runway, and you keep saying, well, next week we'll play better. Next week we'll play our best ball. We haven't played. You're out of time. That shit's over with. You're out of time. Okay? You're out of time. No, it's Senor. You're the one that doesn't hear it. Some of you in here don't hear the players talking. You're trying to decipher what they're not saying. You're the one that can't hear it. You get this. This guy is pissed off at me. I'm starting to hate Philly sports talk because the players are saying this and not me. He's actually angry at me for pointing out that the Philadelphia Eagle players have not been satisfied at any time this year with this football team. And saying that we're flawed. And he doesn't get it. Gloom and doom. I'm echoing the players. They're the ones echoing gloom and doom, not me. Name me one Eagle player in the last 2 months that have said something positive about the direction of the Eagles this year. Name me one. Look at GT. We'll be okay. According to what player? Jalen Hurts is now even talking in code. Like he's Le'Veon Bell with upside down tweets. I mean, he's even talking in some pseudo code. The players are saying this to the reporters. That's not what's... I heard Jason Kelsey talk today. There were no reporters when he was saying we just haven't played well this year for a full 60 minutes. And I don't know. Penalties and turnovers has stopped us really. And we've just never been in sync. That's an answer that really kind of personifies the entire year. Fake news. Of course it is. All the players are not happy. Do you think Devontae was happy after that Giant game? Do you? AJ was so pissed off, he took his bat and ball and ran to a sandbox in his house. 2 weeks ago, Jalen Hurts is calling people out. The coach, once again, I don't get this guy. So what was Sirianni saying? I was too emotional on the sideline. What a fucking cheerleader. Honest to God, man. That guy needs to grow up. He is such a high school football coach. I mean, you're telling me on a Wednesday that you're too emotional on the sidelines. Like that matters. You need to be level-headed in games. He's admitting to you he's not level-headed in games and has poise and patience in games. He's admitting it to you. Like Tone says, this guy freaking talks too much. He admits his weaknesses days after the game. Man. Yeah, I need to be more calmer. I'm paraphrasing his idiotic comments. I need to be more calmer. I need to, not be as fired up. I need to be like, that a little more. And he's telling me 3 days after the game. Talk about a guy who doesn't have an awareness of what he's saying or how that lands. That's a guy that doesn't know how things land when you make a comment like that. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Sometimes when you make a take and you say something or you have a particular opinion that you're going to make on a team or on a player, you need to understand where that may land sometimes. That may land here where you thought it would land over here. For instance, the Colin Kaepernick story. Back in the day, Kaepernick was really, in my opinion, I think Colin Kaepernick was trying to talk about really equal rights, and I think he was really trying to land it. But when he threw the flag in, it landed right on the flag. Not what he meant it to do. That's a prime example of it. This guy's talking about Black pride and everything, and he wanted it to land here with equal rights and pay and all that. Totally got it. But then when he threw the flag in, it landed over here, and half of America thought he was a scumbag. That's not what he meant. It's too bad. Poor messenger. Poor messenger. And that's kind of what you have here. Okay? That's kind of what you have here. And so you have a poor messenger. Apologizing for his behavior on the sidelines. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. How that guy gets in front of a microphone and doesn't think that what he's saying has a poor message to it. He's a poor messenger. He really is, man. Okay? Hey, Steve, I don't need a head coach apologizing 3 days after acting like an asshole on the sidelines. Okay? I don't need it. There's no place for it. You don't have to apologize. Why would you say you're sorry? What's the point? Who are you apologizing to? Seriously, who are you apologizing to? Why don't you walk into the locker room and apologize to the men in the locker room? You felt you had to apologize to the men in the locker room and then to the media? That's dumb. You owe the media nothing. You absolutely owe them nothing. Owe them nothing. By the way, today, our good friend Tone will be with us at 3:30. Barrett Brooks at 4:30. Howard Balzer from All City Network, Phoenix, and Pro Football Hall of Fame voter will join us at 5:30, and we will talk about the Ganwagon and the Arizona Cardinals. That'll be at 5:30. So we'll get some intel. He covers the Arizona Cardinals there, and we'll get his thoughts on what the Cardinals are doing. And Kyler Murray, are they going to stick with him? Probably have to because of the money. So we'll go there. All right. Cardinals versus Eagles. Hey, by the way, what kind of reception do you think Jonathan Gannon is going to get on Sunday? What kind of reception? This guy helped you get to a Super Bowl. He helped you get to a Super Bowl. Are you going to cheer him or boo him? Boo? Wait a minute. Jonathan Gannon helped you get to a Super Bowl. He had the number 2 defense in the NFL. Your defense is trash this year. You're going to boo him? You're going to boo one of the best D coordinators in the history of the Eagles, statistically at least. He'll get booed? That bum. Holy shit. One of the best statistical defenses, 70 sacks. Number 2 in defense. And you're going to boo him? Man, shame on you. I think you're right. I think this guy's going to get booed like a crazy dog when it comes to how the Eagle fans see this guy. I really do. I think this guy's going to get chewed up on Sunday. And I think the organization also wants him to get his ass booed too. So, all right. Look here, man. This is another one of these football games. Cardinals enter the game. They're 26th in points scored, 24th in total yards. You know, they are 3rd in rushing the ball at 4.9. It's been kind of a weakness as of late. And they run the ball for 129 yards a game, which is 9th. That's not awful. I just don't think it's a good football team. I think it's another game where it's a 31-7 game. If the Eagles take care of business, I just don't see it. So, I mean, at the end of the day here, this is going to be more about Philadelphia taking care of business. And to me, I don't want them working on things. I want them simplifying things. Do the things you do great. Okay? You don't have to do things out of the ordinary against this football team. Don't make the game a fourth quarter game. You've made the Giant game a fourth quarter game. Try to give your guys a little bit of a breather by putting a team. You know, the problem even about last year's team was that you couldn't put teams away. Put teams away. Hey, T-Views, one of the reasons that I don't think that they can put teams away, I don't think they stay committed to running the ball because I don't think the owner wants them to be committed to running the ball. Can you imagine that? The Philadelphia Eagle owner stops the running game. I'm convinced of that because there's no other excuse. The analytics department stops the Eagles from running the ball. They stop them from running it. I am not going to sit here any longer and blame Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni because you know what? When you keep repeating the same mistake for 16 weeks and you're heading into week 17, you're an idiot. Will you see a change in the playoffs? Man, so you're going to do things that you did throughout the regular season, and all of a sudden they're going to magically change into something else, and they're going to go from Clark Kent to Superman in the playoffs. You better hope there's an injury on one of the teams. Okay? You better hope there's an injury when it comes to San Francisco, Dallas, and Detroit. I don't really know if you can beat Detroit yet. If I were to rank the 4 teams in the NFC, I would rank 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, and Eagles. I don't think you're playing better than Detroit. And we're going to find out a lot more about Detroit this Saturday when they play the Dallas Cowboys. If they beat the Cowboys, they are the 3rd best team in the NFC. They are. They're the 3rd best team. They will be the 3rd. If they beat the Cowboys on Saturday, and we're going to look at the games, okay? And if they beat them, okay, they're the 3rd best team. And I'm even more convinced you're a one and done team. Okay? So, let's go into this topic here. Does Jonathan Gannon have an advantage? And could he become a problem for the Eagle offense come Sunday? Practice against it, prepared against it, knows the personnel, knows what they can't do, knows what they're trying to do. Nothing's changed, according to the legendary Nick Sirianni. They're doing the same shit they did a year ago. So it's going to be pretty commonplace in what they're doing. Does Gannon have an advantage here of knowing what and how to stop the guy? Shit, the Giants stopped them, and they stink. Made it an 8-point game. If the Giants had a decent quarterback, maybe if they even started Tyrod Taylor, that game's closer. And the Giants stink. You're stumbling versus shitty teams. I mean, you guys are absolutely thinking that you're just going to roll the Cardinals when you couldn't roll the Giants. And the Giants already got for sale signs up in New Jersey. You couldn't even put them away. And here's the guy who knows you. Does he have an advantage on how to stop the offense? I think he does. I think he's got insight. Now, does that mean he has the personnel? No. They're terrible. But then again, you're pathetic on defense. You're as good as the Cardinals defensively. You understand that. If you changed helmets with the Cardinals defensively, you're the same group. Don't make it sound like just because you're the Eagles, you have this high-powered defense. You're just as good as the Giants on defense. You're just as good as the Cardinals on defense. You're one of the worst groups on the planet. So don't make it sound like you're really great over there. And here's the difference, though. Gannon knows how to beat you. Gannon beat the Cowboys. Actually pounded the Cowboys. Actually put a beating on the Cowboys. Who put a beating on you. Okay? I think he's got an advantage. And here's what that advantage would be. Snap count. Probably some audibles. Formations. The fact that you run 5 plays off of different set variations. He knows what those are. Again, I don't think he has the personnel to stop you. But Jalen Hurts has not played well at all this year. Okay? He's not played well at all, actually. I mean, I got my quarterback list out. Far down the list. Then again, Patrick Mahomes hasn't played great. I say this to you. Jonathan Gannon makes that thing a fourth quarter football game. One, because you're not very good on defense. Secondly, you don't have an identity on offense, according to Jason Kelce. You listen to Jason Kelce today talk, you would think, oh, what was the phrasing that you guys used? Gloom and doom? Go listen to his interview today. He talked gloom and doom. Wasn't me. Wait, hey, gambler. I wasn't the one, Devontae Smith, after the game talking shit on the team. Or I wasn't the one calling out the team like Jalen Hurts. I wasn't the coach acting like an asshole on the sidelines. I wasn't Jason Kelce saying today we don't have an identity. Turnovers and mistakes have been all year with us. I didn't. That's the players talking. Once again, that's the players talking. Are you really trying to suggest to yourselves that Devontae Smith, after the game, was happy with the way they played? Or that Jalen Hurts didn't call out teammates and coaches? And that your dumbass coach lost his poise on the sideline? He admitted it today. I need to be better on the sidelines. I was too animated or something, or some bullshit that he said. Your entire football team has unraveled in the second half of the season into a point where, get this, your own players are telling you they're not going anywhere. You don't have to have a media person make a comment. All you have to do is listen to the players. They're telling you who they are. Just listen to them. Pull up a soundbite from today. Listen to Jalen Hurts today. Listen to Jason Kelce today. Don't listen to me. Listen to them. And see if they're happy with what the team has done this year. Listen to them. You can do all that shit to me and say that I'm hating. Well, then if I'm hating, they're hating. And I'm with the players. I agree with them 100%. Completely 100% believe in the players. Sills, I have really enjoyed the show this year. You have really handled the guys who have tried to spin your takes all year. Hopefully they learned their lesson. Looking forward to next year. Bear, thank you. Bear, it's commonplace to have people get upset when you point out deficiencies in something you love. And so what they do is attack the messenger, whether it's politics or religion. It's what they do. So over the years, I used to get upset with it early. Now I don't care. Now I use it like a guy like LJ. He's wonderful content. He's wonderful content because it's the antithesis of what I say. It's perfect when he turns out to be stupid. I mean, it's wonderful. I embrace it. I used to not. I used to get upset with it. See, I don't get upset with callers or viewers. I don't. That it takes a lot for me to get upset. You guys talking to me doesn't. But what I do is, like Tone says, I make people uncomfortable. And I make people upset because I use certain push button words. Content. Thank you, Twiz. I don't give a shit about. I don't get upset like that. Okay? I don't. But you are sometimes demeaning, insult your viewers. I insult some of the viewers because when you can't open your eyes and ears and you're listening to your own players, all I can think is that you're a dumbass. And you refuse to hear what they're even saying. Okay? Sills, you're quiet about the Niners. Niners, best team in the NFC. What's not to be quiet about that? Best team in the NFC. By far. Okay? Best team. The best team in football as of today are the Ravens. So let me ask you this. If the Dolphins beat the Ravens because there's a letdown, are the Dolphins then the best team in the NFL? I'll tell you what, that'd be a pretty good story, though. You beat the Cowboys, and then you turn around and beat the Ravens in consecutive weeks. Look at how, when I say this to you all the time, the NFL is a week-to-week proposition league. It changes every week. Or as some of you would say, the league flip-flops who the best teams in the week are. You know, that's a really great point. Think about this, Twiz. People a month ago, 2 months ago, were calling the Eagles the number one team in the league, right? Right? Jalen, okay. Jared, perfect. Absolutely feeds into what I'm saying. 2 months ago, were we not saying Jalen Hurts was the MVP? Everyone. And Eagles were the best team in the league. Were they not saying that? Then come the Niners. They beat the doorknobs off you. Brock Purdy's playing out of his ass. And he's the MVP candidate. And the Niners are the best team. Then the Cowboys crush you. Dak's the number one candidate for MVP. Then the Ravens take care of the Niners. And now the Niners are second to the Ravens, and Lamar's the MVP. The league flip-flopped 5 times in the last 5 weeks. Am I wrong? Has the media and the league flip-flop 5 weeks in a row? Yes or no? No? Hey, dude, he's a system quarterback. Well, what's your system? High turnovers mask? Second in the league in turnovers? Dude, Brock Purdy has had a great year. Get this. That guy could have a 4-turnover game and still superior year than what Hurts had this year. This guy has thrown the least amount of attempts of any quarterback in the top 10 right now, and he's second in passing yards. I don't give a shit what you say. Brock Purdy's had a sensational season. Sensational season. Even with 4 picks. Eagles have had a bad season, period, but let's remember the schedule this year was more difficult. It was. By the way, if I'm Philly, because you're not going to fix what you have going on right now, you got to hope for injuries on the Cowboys and Niners. And maybe to a point, I'll tell you something. The Philadelphia Eagles have nobody that can count and cover that offensive air attack in Detroit. What linebacker do you have can cover that tight end they have? He'll go for 200 yards on you. You can't cover Jake Ferguson. That Laporte kid's better. And the receivers they have in Detroit, plus the 2 backs they have, I think if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Tone, I think that the Lions are 3rd in rushing. Am I wrong? I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the Bears and someone else, but Detroit's 3rd in rushing. So they're 3rd in rushing. They got a quarterback who's going to throw for 4,500 yards. I mean, the Lions are 3rd rushing the ball in the NFL. And they got an air attack. Okay? They got an air attack. Jalen has no defense, shit coaching. But 35 touchdowns. How's he having a bad year? He's second in the league in turnovers. Case closed, Joe. Good night. Second in the league in turnovers. Lions defense is horrible. We're going to find out. Hey, the Giants defense is horrible. The Giants defense is horrible, and they made it a 1-score game in the 4th quarter. Who do you think is the MVP as of today? It's a great conversation. And I'll deviate a little bit off of where we are here with the Eagles. Let me ask you something about that. Last year, Jalen Hurts' statistics were not very eye-opening when it came to under 4,000 passing yards. I think he had 460 attempts, 22 touchdowns. It was not impressive numbers when it came to MVP. However, the one thing he did have was that he had impact. And I happen to agree with many of you. I think the most valuable player is the most valuable person. Let me give you an example of that. Okay? Let me give you, okay? Being second in the NFL in turnovers is a huge weight to shake off. It overshadows a lot of the things he's doing. He has to wear that until next season. It's a damn shame because in many aspects, I think there's times in the season Jalen Hurts has gotten better. And when you see it in the passing game. So let me ask you this. And by the way, even though Hurts' numbers last year were nothing really outstanding, his impact was. Now, let's do this. Here's how I look at MVP. How many people watched that Ravens and 49er game? How many people watched that game? I watched that pretty intently. Was there any doubt Lamar Jackson wasn't the best player on the field? All you have to do is open your eyes. I mean, what were the stats? 250-something passing, 45 rushing. But was there any doubt with McCaffrey, Debo, with Odell Beckham, with Flowers, all those great players that were on the ball field? Was there any doubt when you came away from that game, you went like this, that guy's the best player on the field? Okay? That guy's the best player on the field. I think sometimes we get jaded by these insane numbers that some people put up. And I'm talking about the award of most valuable person. When you watch Jalen Hurts play at his top level and he's running RPOs and he's playing like 22, that guy's impact on a football field impacts A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the O-line, defenses, the way you play call defenses, everything. You know, when you just drop him back, he's another guy. He's not really special. But when he's playing Jalen Hurts football and he's throwing a 20-yard fourth down or whatever that thing was, that's when you watch him and you go, shit, man, hey, I don't care what defense you draw up in the sand. You ain't covering that guy because he's a weapon. Okay? So to me, when I look at a player like Lamar and Jalen, you're going to get a different view. Watch this. You put Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson on one side, and then you put Joe Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen over here. And you know what you're going to get? You're going to get an argument that you can't win on both sides. Because both sides, two conversations can be right. Well, he doesn't have the numbers to carry his football team. Were you blind, though, on Sunday? You saw the best player on the field. There's no denying it. To me, I think it's impact. And Chip goes, really, who cares about the MVP? I do, because it's the symbolic symbol of the best player in the league. I do. I care about it. I care about who you name that as. Yes, I care. Because it's a great honor to be called one of the men in the history of the league to win the most valuable player award. My uncle won one. Okay, so I mean, it is important. Okay? It is important. Okay? The biggest impact is Lamar. He has more impact. Lamar Jackson, I don't think there's a debate anymore. I think he's won it. Now, here's this. What if Tagovailoa throws for 500 yards versus that Ravens defense on Sunday? Do you give it to him? And hey, here's another great story. Well, it's between those two. I think Purdy, I think the 49er guys, as I told Tone yesterday, I think the 49er guys have kind of canceled themselves out. Okay, I do. I think they're going to kind of cancel themselves out, McCaffrey and Purdy. I think Dak's in the conversation, depending on what Dak does this weekend. And they right the ship. You know who's going to have the media on his side. But if Tagovailoa throws for 400 yards and he has a 4-touchdown game against the Ravens, there's going to be a strong push for him. You know why? Because of what he's overcome. In my opinion, Tua Tagovailoa is the comeback player of the year, too. You had coaches on the sidelines of his own team saying, I almost feel it's not human to put him back out there. And I feel it's not right. You had players with morality issues on whether he should play on the Dolphins. You had people in the Dolphin organization questioning putting him back on the field after that concussion against the Bills when he was wobbling around. And people all over the league were screaming, get him off the field. Get him off the field before you kill him. Okay? I never said Tua stinks. I said you can't build a football team around a guy who's never healthy. He gambled, he won, and he'll get a $250 million deal. The Dolphins. And you see, here's Mateo not understanding shit because the Dolphins didn't even believe him. Instead of giving him a $51 million deal like they gave Hurts, they only extended him for $18 million. They weren't sure he could stay healthy. Mateo, tell the whole fucking truth. They didn't believe in him. Now he gambled. And now he's going to get $250 million. That's the truth. You can't build your... Hey, as far as I'm concerned, I'll tell you flat out here. Dallas Goedert, I'm ready to move on from him. Can't miss 25% of your career every year. Every year that guy's hurt. Got something. Every year. Every year. Guy's injury prone. The Ravens didn't just beat the Niners. They manhandled them. It was a thing of beauty. Gary, now, would you be shocked if the Ravens rolled in and played against Miami and you saw them kind of struggle against the Miami Dolphins because they came off a high emotional... Hey, by the way, okay, I mean, don't you have peaks and valleys when you come out of games like that. How many people, we went like this. I said, there's not a chance in hell the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. No chance. After the way they handled the Eagles. It was a big emotional game. They go to Orchard Park and lose. And by the way, I said the Ravens would beat the Niners. The Ravens are playing a little better ball because the quarterback is more elusive. Okay? Now you're making excuses if the Ravens... No, I'm not making excuses. No. I'm telling you it's a week-to-week flip-flop league. Dude, the league tells you the story all year, not me. You hear it from me because you think that 1 week it's this team, 1 week it's that. That's how the season's been, has it not? Has it not been that way? And for the record, not that Jalen Hurts has played great because he hasn't. I don't really think there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have had sensational seasons this year. I don't. But I'll tell you what, every time Lamar Jackson's on the field, he's different. That's a different dude. That's a different dude. Okay? Sills is now twerking for the Lions. The Lions are 11-4. What are you looking at? They just won their division. I'm not sure what you're talking about. They're 11-4. They're a good football team. They've got a lot of good players on it. I'll tell you this. That job that they have done in their front office, look at all the draft choices that they have landed on over that Matthew Stafford deal. Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, almost every single one of their linebackers, and not just first rounders, first through third rounders. They have landed on almost every draft choice, and he's been a star. Even their free agents have made it. Okay? Yes, really a great job in Detroit. Okay? Fantastic. Hey, and who would have thunk it? Jared Goff has done more in Detroit than Matthew Stafford ever did in Detroit. That guy had, like I said before, Megatron. And Jared Goff will now throw for 4,000 yards for the fourth time in 6 years. That guy's an underrated player, man. Hey, he's more accomplished than Hurts. He's been in the league longer, obviously, but he's more accomplished. This guy's won an NFC championship, taken a team to a Super Bowl, lost 14-3, thrown for 4,000 yards 4 of the last 6 years, will throw for 35 touchdowns this year. Your guy will never throw for 30 touchdowns. Never in his career. I don't want him to. I want him 25 touchdowns throwing, 15 rushing. But they don't want him in Philly rushing like that anymore for whatever reason. They think you've turned him into a cheap man's version of Josh Allen without the arm. You understand that. He's got the turnovers of Josh Allen, but the difference is Josh Allen will throw for nearly 5,000 yards every year and 37 touchdowns. Your guy will never get there. That's the difference in what they're doing in Philly. Yeah, he's got the Allen turnovers this year, but he ain't going to be nowhere near the numbers. What teams, if any, can the Eagles beat in the playoffs? Dude, watch this. Gary, I think your offense can beat any football team in the NFC playoffs offensively. Offensively. I think your coaches hurt you. And the game planning, I think it hurts you. Your defense, this is here. Do you want me to tell you who your identity is? Your offense, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Your offense can beat Your offense can beat anybody in the NFL on any given Sunday. And I say that with conviction. But your defense can lose to any team in the league on any given Sunday. And if you have any kind of turnovers, you'll be upset like you were in Seattle. Or you'll make it a game like you did versus the Giants. That's who you are. That's your identity. You can beat anybody with that offense. And you can lose to anybody with that defense. Is that a wrong comment? Okay? Mask, you can't go by that. Jimmy Garoppolo has been to a Super Bowl. Are you trying to tell me you think Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Josh Allen? You'd really take that. You see what he did? Or like, let's see, who else? Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. So Brad Johnson's better than Josh Allen? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Or Joe Flacco's a better quarterback than Marino because Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. It's the dumbest conversation on the planet. It's a team sport, my friends. We got our quarterback list out. We're going to do that here in a minute. And I'll tell you my top 10 quarterbacks right now in the NFL, and I'll tell you who they are. Like I said, the press conference today with Sirianni was wild. Listening to him apologize for his bullshit on the sidelines and his sideline behavior. I'll say this to you, man. Chip Kelly had his bedside manner sucked, but this guy's sideline behavior is terrible. Waving on the screaming at the Colts fans, screaming at his players, hollering at Devontae Smith. I mean, the guy looked like a dick on the sidelines. He's so unprofessional. Honestly, man, he's got no poise. The quarterback has the most poise of anybody on the offensive unit. If it wasn't for the quarterback, that thing would be a. How about this? Can you imagine Nick Sirianni coaching Carson Wentz? Holy cow. He is so lucky. Can I say this? Jalen Hurts saves Nick Sirianni's job. He saves his job every week. He does. I can't wait for the next guy to get in there. Hopefully you get a guy like Mike Tomlin. Can you imagine Mike Tomlin and Jalen Hurts together? They'd win 4 Super Bowls. Because you would have somebody with equity and somebody who knows what he's doing. And somebody who doesn't apologize for a fucking thing. Okay? Mike Tomlin, you think he apologizes to anything? Or to anybody? Mike Tomlin walks with conviction. Mike Tomlin is the word conviction. He's my favorite coach. You know why? That guy worries about management paying you. He's going to pay you compliments with your effort and your results. And he ain't going to come out 4 days later apologizing for shit. Look at the guy Pickens. He puts George Pickens on blast. Pickens gives him a 200-yard effort. And the Steelers look like they're world beaters again. That's coaching. That's motivating. That's keeping everything calm. That's being the leader in your locker room. That's being the leader of men. When you look at Mike Tomlin, and then you look over at your JV coach, who gives you and who puts off more conviction on who you think could win you a 60-minute football game? You tell me. When you look at Mike Tomlin, what do you see? When you look at Nick, what do you see? Plain and simple. I'll tell you something else. When I look at Sean McVay in a 60-minute game versus Sirianni in a 60-minute game. Okay. Guy's won a Super Bowl and 2 NFC titles. He's still the youngest coach in the league. Okay? Mike Tomlin has backing of ownership to operate his team. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. The coach is supposed to have the backing from the owner, not the owner giving the backing to the GM. It's supposed to be the head coach that gets the backing. Okay, not the GM. And there you have your problem. You undermine strength in the locker room. I have really soured on the way Jeffrey Lurie doesn't allow the coaches to have some authority over the players. Okay? Sirianni versus McVay already happened. Congratulations on your meaningless regular season win. Meaningless. Especially when we're talking about NFC titles and Super Bowls. See how some people look at it? You beat them in a race. A guy like that takes solace in beating the Chiefs instead of beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Hey, we beat them. Yeah, too bad you didn't beat them when it counted. I want to beat people when it counts, not when it's convenient for your shit takes. I think this Cardinal team, they have nothing to offer. They have nothing to offer. Let me see. Hey, let me see some of the scores you think this game will be. I think it's 31-7. Actually, should be more like a 31-3 game. What do I think it'll be? That's a different story. What do you think this game will be on Sunday? Blowout? I happen to think the Cardinals with Kyler Murray are better than the Giants. 34-30? 31-21? 31-17? Way closer than it should. 27-20. 27-21. 30-20. Hey, 20-19. Okay. I think you guys are right. I think you guys are right. I think this thing's close. A.J. Brown has bad energy. I noticed that long ago. Great talent, bad energy. He's a shitty. They named that guy captain because they had to. You see, A.J. Brown never earned the captain of that team. They sewed that on him to appease him because that's how you sometimes have to treat insecure people, make them feel that way, like LeBron or KD. I told you the stories. Dwayne Wade sewed the captaincy on LeBron in Miami because LeBron didn't have very much confidence rolling in there. KD was always made to feel like the star of the team when everyone knew it was Steph Curry's team. That's what leaders do. They empower the ones that are the weakest minded guys around them into feeling that they're the strength of the team when actually the guy behind the scenes is the strength of the team, like Magic Johnson. The captain was really Magic, not Kareem. Okay? It was Magic Johnson. But you had to make Kareem feel that way because Kareem was an insecure guy. Remember, Kareem hadn't done shit in Los Angeles. And he needed Oscar in Milwaukee. He had that. He was never a one go-to guy to win a championship. Abdul-Jabbar, who's considered, you could make an argument he's the GOAT, was never the go-to guy. Was never. Had to have someone get him the ball. Now, again, I think Kareem's shot is arguably the greatest shot in the history of sports, the skyhook. But he had to have someone. Unlike Olajuwon. Olajuwon carried the Rockets. Akeem was everything. Yeah, it's about 5 hours old, but I saw that Russell Wilson has been benched. It's a way for Sean Payton to make an excuse now of not making the playoffs and then moving off of Russell Wilson. Who would have thunk it? Howie Roseman had a contract on the table for Russell Wilson, and Jalen Hurts could maybe have never have been if Russell Wilson had accepted it instead of vetoing that deal. That's how much confidence your GM had in Jalen Hurts. Okay? He had so much confidence. There was a contract on the table for Russell Wilson for $250 million to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. And the only reason he's not is because Russell Wilson vetoed it and voided the contract. How's that for you? Yeah. So I know, hey, you'll be upset with that too. Okay? You'll be upset with that too. Oh, hey, how about this? Sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't. Thank God for no trade clause. Hey, right on, dude. Thank God. Hey, Remember what, Tone, I know you know the story too. Um, what's his name? Jerry West was a consultant with Bob Myers at Golden State. And there was a conversation like, what, 10 years ago, they wanted to trade Steph Curry. And Jerry West goes, you might not want to do that. And Bob Myers, they stopped that deal from going. I forget where they were going to trade him. And Jerry West goes, you might not want to be in that room with that. I think this guy's got something special. He's a special ball player. He's kind of small. He goes, you might want to keep this guy. Jerry West stopped the trade of Steph Curry. Instead, that dynasty lived to live on, or became a dynasty. Best dynasty since the Bulls dynasty, actually. Sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't make, right? You know where I got that from? I got that from Pat Riley, actually. So, yeah. So what GM's good ones always have a backup plan? Why is it that a knock on Howie? Knock on Howie for what? Howie had 3 plans. He had 2 first-rounders that year, and he wanted to see Hurts play. Howie was hedging his bets all around. Nobody said he didn't have a good plan. But his plan, Howie didn't make that deal. Howie had already made it. It was Russell Wilson who voided it. Howie wanted him. It wasn't a stroke of genius by Howie Roseman that Howie Roseman didn't get Wilson. Wilson had a no trade, like Tone said, and saved Howie from making a poor decision. Are you under the impression that Howie had a deal for him? You're making it sound like it was Howie's decision. It was Wilson's decision. It was Wilson. So when will AJ force his way out of the Eagles? When they start losing more. AJ Brown will not be on the Eagles at the end of next year. He'll start that whole train. You got rid of a guy in T.O. who's a Hall of Fame player because of his antics. It took what was he there, a year and a half before you guys got sick of him? That's what'll happen here too. You start losing, that guy will be here a year and a half. Not going to tolerate that. I got Devontae. I'll go get another one of these wideouts. I will. I'll go get, hey, let me call the Raiders and see what's going on with Devontae Adams. I'll take that on. I don't hear that guy giving anybody shit. He just needs a quarterback. Dude, these wideouts today, there's so many good ones, and they're all high priced. I'll just move the money to another guy. I don't really like A.J. Brown on my roster. The only reason I want him is because of like what people say. 1,500 yards, 100 catches, you got it. And I'll do what Angelo said the other day. I'll tolerate it. I'll tolerate everything else until that runs out. And when that runs out, he's out. First guy on the Greyhound. He'll be the first guy on the Greyhound. Okay? That to me, if AJ leaves, does Goddard stay? Why would you want Goddard when you can't count on him to stay healthy? You know what I would do with Goddard, Drew? I'd get another tight end behind him. Get somebody that you can count on that could be back there behind him, and you can live with Goddard. But right now, you have no depth really at the tight end position. And if you at least get another guy behind him in the draft a guy. Draft a really good player. Look at that guy up in Detroit, dude. That Laporta guy is unbelievable. I mean, 700 plus yards, plus 70 catches, 7 touchdowns. First tight end, and I can't think of when, has had those numbers as a rookie. That guy's a really good football player, man. What college did he go to? Laporta? I can't remember what college he went to. He's a really good ball player, man. Oh, that's right. I don't know what's going on in the water up in Iowa, but they're putting out guys from that program at the tight end position, man. That guy is good. He's a good football player. Whew. He can play, man. And by the way, if I'm going to load up on a position, and if I'm the Eagles and I don't want to load up on running back, I'm going to load up at the tight end position. I don't think you can have enough tight ends. The more tight ends you have, the more mismatches you have, because that's a number one mismatch position because of the lack of linebackers in the NFL today. You know, I don't think that's just an Eagle thing. You look around the league, I don't really see a great linebacking core. Isn't it funny? Only the good teams have good linebacking cores. Baltimore, 49ers, the Lions. How come every one of those teams have good linebacking cores and the Eagles don't? The Eagles got trash cans playing linebacker. It just makes no sense. It really doesn't. All right. My top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. We're going to look at that. Also, I didn't get to this yesterday. Job openings that I think, I heard Rob and Tone talking the other day. I think they said 5 or 6. I think there's a little more that potentially could be open. I want to look at that. Week 17 of the National Football League. Also, more on Cards and Eagles. Do me a favor, guys. Don't forget. Teams are having a difficult time evaluating a linebacker position in the new NFL. That's right, because you know why? The creation of the tight end position is now becoming incredible to defend, because linebackers have to be more like Derek Brooks linebackers, cover 2 guys. They're more hybrid safeties, okay? Big, giant dudes coming out of college and putting a 43 linebacker or a 34 linebacker in a defense is not conducive to today's NFL. You got to have a linebacker like Derek Brooks, Ryan Shazier, guys that can cover and have great speed. You know what separated and what made Ray Lewis a sensational player? Tone, you know what? He was 6'3", he was 255, and he ran 4.3s, 4.4s, 4.45s. That's what made him unbelievable, is that he could cover tight ends, and he had immense speed. Ray Lewis is probably the greatest middle linebacker that's ever lived when it comes to physical presence because of the speed he had. Okay? I mean, 4.45, 250, 6'3", sideline to sideline, knock guys out. There's a reason he was Super Bowl MVP. Okay? And let's not forget something. He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he's a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, how do you become the Super Bowl MVP and you don't really touch the football? I mean, he's incredible. I still think Ed Reed's the greatest Hurricane that's ever lived, but Ray's second. Those 2 guys played on the same Hurricane team, believe it or not. Unbelievable. Great time of the month when it comes to our friends at Hooters for December. All the holidays that we have here. You got Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, and you have New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Some really great holiday items like the bonus bucks, $5 for you to give to your loved ones during this holiday time. Don't forget the calendars are out as well. The 2024, we have like 9 of the girls that are featured inside the 2024 calendars. There's $100 in coupons that are also in the calendar. If you don't want to go into the stores, do me a favor, go to HootersToGo.com. Look, Wing Wednesdays, one of our greatest promotions that we have had for 40 years. 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. What a great place to go. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. When you roll in, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Eat chicken wings, buy Hooters things. Christmas is near, shop, have a beer. Christmas shopping shouldn't be hard. Give your friends a Hooters gift card.
This year, stuff their stockings and yours too with a one-size-fits-all gift card. Buy a $25 Hooters gift card and receive a $5 Santa's bonus card. Make it Hooters for the holidays.
Eat chicken wings, buy Hooters things. Christmas is near, gift cards are here. Good at Hooters everywhere now. Hooters gifts are always favored.